Chapter 3, Section 2, the graph of a function. In this section, we're going to learn how to identify the graph of a function and how to get information from or about the graph of a function. So let's look at a very simple data set, data table. There are two variables in this data table. This is one of the variable, which is represent the number of years. And if I use variable x to represent, and then the second column represent the price, whatever, maybe gasoline price or whatever. It doesn't really indicate in this table. It just says the merchandise price. We use variable y to represent. And actually, this is the year. Is actually continue here, because we don't want this table too long, so we just move, the rest of the table horizontally, but this is x and y, this is x and y. X represent the number of year, y is the corresponding merchandise price. So for the two variable data set, we can use an order pair to represent, If x-axis represent the number of year, and then the y-axis represent corresponding merchandise price, and then we can use order pair. For each row in this data table, we can use order pair to represent. And then if we put into the graph, and then each order pair, we can plot a point, right? So now let's look at the line chart. This kind of graph is called a line chart. So each data set is a point, on the graph, and then use a straight line to connect each point, If the third point is here, and then from second to third, use straight line to connect these 2 points, and then the next point is here, use straight line to connect the third and the fourth point, and so on. This line chart represents the previous data table right here. All right. So that's the graphing point of view of the data set, or the visualization of the data table. So if people give you this kind of data set, it's very hard to understand what is data, trying to tell you, right? What information contains in this data set just by looking at those numbers. But if you, plot the data set, and then you are more easily to see, more easily to visualize what the data represent. So you can see the price trending based on the time, right? Which year this price is getting lower, and then what year, or from what year to what year the price getting high, and then go down again, and then go high. So you can see the trend and variation of the data. So that's why we normally say the visualization, can help people to understand better about the data. So how can we identify whether the graph is a graph of a function or not? The method we're using called the vertical line testing method. It works like this. A set of points in the two-dimensional plane, xy plane, is the graph of a function if and only if every vertical line intercepts the graph in at most one point. So what it means is really coming from the definition of a function. Remember, what is the definition of a function? It says two sets of data, right? And then every element in X or in the domain pairs exactly one element in the Y or in the range. Every element in X pairs exactly one element in the Y. We don't care the y is repeated value or not, okay, as long as one x pair exactly one y or not. So that's the reason why we can use the vertical line testing method. Vertical line, every point on this line have the same x, right? So if the graph intercept with this vertical line one time, that means one x pairs with exactly one y. Okay, if the graph intercept with the vertical line two times, that means one x pair with two y. Right? That's how the vertical line works. Okay, vertical line testing method works. So now let's look at some example. Okay, the blue, this is a parabola, okay, blue graph. So we want to see whether this graph is a graph of a function or not. So what can we do? We just draw a vertical line. Okay, see this vertical line intercept with the graph how many times? If only intercept one time, and then that means this is a graph of a function. Okay, anywhere you draw a vertical line, only intercept with a graph one time. Okay, so A, this graph is a graph of a function. Now let's look at the B. Let's draw the vertical line, okay, testing. So if I draw a vertical line here, how many intercepts? Vertical line intercept with this blue curve only one time. Okay, if you draw another vertical line, anywhere you draw vertical line, okay, intercept with graph only one time. So that means this is the graph of a function. So let's try the C. Okay, this is the graph. If I draw a vertical line right here, you see graph intercept with the vertical line two times, right? More than one. So this graph is not a graph of a function. Okay, you draw a vertical line, you see two intercepts. So that's why this is not a graph of a function. All right. So what about the circle? You draw a vertical line, intercept with circle two times. Okay, so that means circle is not a graph of a function. Okay, anywhere you draw a vertical line, you can always see, okay, intercept two times. Okay, so that's why this graph is not a graph of a function.